about the Celtics. How do you always trade for the right dude at the right time to make it look like you're going to do a run? This is insane. Okay.
Because we're the best team ever.
The best, worst team ever. Worst, best team ever. Whatever. Like, worst, best team ever. Yes. Okay. Worst, best team ever. Okay.
Talk about historic franchises. I wanted to open the show by saying just some fun facts about the first Super Bowl that I heard today on a podcast. I thought was very fascinating.
I love that Pablo podcast. Yeah, it was so good.
It was so good. Did you watch it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna actually show a clip at some point today. I'll try to transition it so it's smooth. But that podcast was so good. It just so it was 1967. They wanted it to be special, and everything went wrong. And luckily, it wasn't the Super Bowl that we know, because there could have been a lot of people hurt. They were debuting new technology, basically, which was going to allow them to have a live scoreboard and clock for the first time ever. So believe it or not, it was actually like a grandfather clock that they built that was going to keep track of the time. It was going to have the score. They were very excited about it.
No, it was like the old time, like, think like Back to the Future. There was a clock on the clock tower. They had this at the stadium to show the time. They had to attach something to the damn, like, minute hand to keep track of it so that they could keep track and put the timer for the game on the TV. But
correct. So then what happened was they finally plugged it in. Well, they tried it out.
They tested it. It seemed good. Okay.
Yeah,
like,
so
I can finish it. It's like, yeah, they tested it. It seemed good. Okay. And then they went to do it at the start of the game, and the minute arm fell off into the stands.
Into the stands, Donnie.
And you're talking like a 10, 15-foot piece of metal. Like heavy metal. That was the minute hand on this big-ass clock.
It was basically
into the stands.
A propeller at some point. Like
the only reason it didn't hurt and crush anyone is because they only sold like 20% of the tickets to the game.
Right. They were saying if it was a normal audience, like
it would have fell down onto the stadium right behind like the end zone. So like everyone's sitting there right behind the goalpost.
So if you associate that to a modern NFL game, we're probably talking about at least 60 or 50 injuries, easy.
Maybe a death or two, yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been bad.
Big ass, like this is an old school clock. Like you're talking iron.
Enormous lawsuits would be aplenty.
And so you think like we're talking about the Stone Ages or something. Well, we're talking about 1967. There was a lot of racial undertone. It was a weird thing, and part of the illusion or the attraction to get like people to kind of look the other way on a lot of the racist or political talk was, hey, we're going to do like this Evel Knievel kind of stunt and have these astronauts come in, and we're going to make kind of this theatrical performance out of the moon landing, and it'll be this big thing. And even that almost ended up disastrous because they kind of did a kind of flyover like you would do with airplanes, but with people on a bungee cord assembly essentially through the air doing, flips and theatrics and these type of things. And they almost fell off and killed themselves before the game started. They wanted to debut like fancy helmets, I was reading, and like make them special and pop for TV purposes and things of that nature. So apparently, according to rumors, they've made them less safe and not as absorbent. So head injuries were more common, and that's why the one player literally got knocked out for the Green Bay Packers. So it was just a cluster. But I wanted to play this video because the most egregious thing happened during this, and then we can get on the lineup.
Wait, that's not the worst things?
I mean,
no, that's literally just the start of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's not the I understand why, you should watch this podcast. Like, listen to what they have to say.
Oh, dude, it's an
like just
awesome
the whole story of how you would be able to watch Super Bowl I now.
Correct.
Is insane.
So you guys let me know if you can see this. You can see this.
Yeah,
correct?
we can see it. Yeah.
Sports, because it didn't occur to anyone that this would be something you might want to preserve. So, within days of Super Bowl I ending, Super Bowl I vanished.
If you can believe this, They recorded soap operas over the game tapes, and VCRs hadn't been invented yet.
Because of the high cost of videotape in the 1960s, it was network policy to reuse old stock. Neither CBS nor NBC owns a full Super Bowl I broadcast.
Yeah, I just like how the NFL and the networks in this case just were like that dad who accidentally tapes over his daughter's, ballet recital.
The fact that you can't watch Super Bowl I because the networks themselves taped up 2 networks, not
Right,
just one,
right.
2. That's like
2 terrible parents.
That's like 2 different people smashing one tablet of the Ten Commandments, right? Like, it's crazy that this happened.
I couldn't believe that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sounds pretty on brand for the late 60s.
And like there are clips around because like at halftime, they had 2 guys do like a jetpack dance
Yeah,
over the field. And
Yeah.
there's still, like video clips of these 2 guys flying over the stadium in 1967.
that's what I'm talking about with the astronauts. They dressed them up like astronauts. They were literally trying to make the parody of the moon landing.
Yeah. So like there's clippets of things that happened that people saved for things, but like yeah, the entire broadcast video is not there.
But like, is there a camera angle where you could see all the seats destroyed?
There's camera angles where you can see a lot of empty seats.
A lot of empty
on
seats.
Super Bowl.
It literally looks like a dark house show at a professional wrestling event in like the Midwest in the desert somewhere. Like the closest.
Except it was at like what I forget where it was.
Well, the LA Coliseum.
I was
Yeah.
about to say it was at the Coliseum, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just amazing the parallel because now this is the Super Bowl, and I kind of mean it to be hyperbole. And Evan pulled up a nice photo here so we can see it. This is, obviously the stadium. This is not what it looked like for the Super Bowl, I believe, because you'll see the other end of the
I
stadium.
mean, the stadium hasn't changed much since the 60s, to be honest.
And this
Yeah,
is back in
that's
the
what it
days when the goalposts were in the freaking front of the end zone.
Correct.
Awful idea. Still to this day. I mean, who thought that was right?
Here's the weird parody. We can leave the political and the racist undertones alone because you could still say some of those still exist to this day. But what's crazy is all of that happened in the advancement of the Super Bowl, and now Taylor Swift is literally in Tokyo performing and going to somehow get to the game in time from Tokyo. And it's just going to be seamless. The amount of technology that is just going to be put into that and get her there almost without even touching the ground is just kind of miraculous to me. So we're talking about 1967 and them inventing a scoreboard that was live, and that was the big thing.
Them trying to attach that to the clock was because until then there was no game clock on television broadcasts for football.
Right.
They were trying to give you that for Super Bowl I. But boom,
I
death.
couldn't imagine watching a game without that now.
Right? That's the other thing. This is why so many things they were trying to give you, like the halftime show, all the events up, what we think of as the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, it was a game. It wasn't an event. They wanted to make it
the first one. It was,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. They talk about how both teams, the Packers and the Chiefs, they had just won what they had thought to be their championship game. Why are we playing this exhibition?
Yeah.
Vince Lombardi and the Packers thought, why the hell are we playing this stupid team? We're the champions. We won. The same thing we've been winning for decades.
And apparently the only reason some people cared about the game, Gov, was because they threw money at it. Literally, otherwise
What's different now than then? Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
threw money at it and someone had an idea. Yeah.
So it's almost like the NBA in-season tournament in a way, where it's like, oh well, we don't know how to make this important. We're just going to throw money on it. We'll make the floors look cool and polished, and it truly did remind me a lot of that. I mean, it's just so fascinating because it wasn't that long ago, really, if you think about it.
I'll stand by this while we're on the topic to this day. I was so wrong about the in-season tournament, and I think it's here to stay, and it's going to be very fun for a long time.
It might
Not
be.
that I care about who wins, but I still think it's very fun.
No, it might be, and that's kind of what
It might
happened
be
to
a nice
the
incentive. Like it didn't seem to not work. Like
It could die out, though, in a couple years. Who knows?
Well, that's kind of what happened to the Super Bowl, though, too. They were just taking a chance. Like, they wanted it to be big, but it wasn't even that big. They taped over it with soap operas because they thought
it
archiving
was
soap
just the
operas.
next thing they needed on the roll.
Yeah. Well, what is crazy, though, is there was one guy that recorded it, right? Because he was kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah, one guy who like owned a TV station somewhere, he decided, you know what, I'm just gonna record this broadcast as it comes through.
Right, like ethical hackers is the way I would kind of describe
But
this
like
guy.
even him, like he wasn't paying attention. Apparently he missed a good chunk, like 8-9 minutes of the third quarter when it came back from halftime.
Yeah, I looked into what he was doing, and I know they kind of hinted at the podcast, and that he might have been having a lunch or preparing a dinner. The rumor is he was frying a bologna sandwich. So there's about 8 minutes in that game film where you just don't see anything going on.
If you piece it all together, we have to have a full recording, you'd think. Like,
No, the closest from what I saw on that we have would be this guy's recording, which is everything in the first half, but then it doesn't start up till like 5 minutes left in the third, but then you get the entire rest of the game.
no, but like, I'm sure the other networks have part of that.
No, CBS and NBC
No.
have nothing.
They have
recorded
nothing.
They have
everything.
completely nothing.
They have completely nothing. The only thing that there's
Oh.
pictures of is a few bits of the halftime show with
Okay.
the jetpack guys. A
So
few
you
bits
don't-
of like early on pre-recorded stuff, people coming in, but like that's where you see like stadium empty.
Then you had this Dixieland jazz trumpet guy, Al Hurt, with some university marching bands. That was the halftime show back then. Just marching bands and then maybe a jazz musician.
Yeah.
And then of course, because it's the Super Bowl, they got a couple of guys to dance around the sky in jetpacks.
See, and I really love this, and that's kind of the fun part about this podcast is like you could go back and watch some Govs and Mine's first content. We had guys on there that didn't have any clue what they were doing. We didn't have any clue what we were doing, but we were kind of just having fun experimenting. There were some disasters,
I
maybe
know
not.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, maybe not as bad as a helicopter propeller going into the stadium crowd, but I mean, we had some bad moments there for a while. But what
I do have something that you
Go
can put
ahead.
on the screen.
Uh-oh.
I found a picture of it.
There it is.
That's so silly.
See?
Not
This is
gonna
the
lie though,
perfect-
that looks fun.
speaking
That
of
might be
disasters, this is
Are
the
we
perfect
sure
kind
that
of
is? I
welcome
feel like
in
that
here.
stadium is way too full.
It has to be this, man.
I mean,
But-
it's not
yeah.
completely filled to the brim, but yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
you gotta think like a lot of those seats were crushed.
Well, if anything, they're doing like the old wrestling technique where you show the only portions of the stadium that are filled,
Oh yeah, that picture is definitely from the right. Yeah.
right? And you zoom in, hyper focus, and it makes it look like it's a lot bigger. What I find the most interesting though is like you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but they literally finished the game. They wanted to do interviews. They wanted to do a presentation. Both teams didn't know what to do. They just left the field. Like apparently, some players were already in the parking lot before they even.
Yeah, apparently like part of the recording is them afterwards just like cutting to the reporters like, and we're here in the tunnel waiting to give the Packers the championship trophy and do our interviews. They're waiting to wait 5 minutes later. And we're here waiting for the Packers to let's 10 minutes and 3 hours later. And we're still here waiting for the Packers. Like literally there was like 15, 20 minutes of just the reporters waiting for the Packers to let them into the locker room so they could do post-game interviews and give them the trophy and all the ceremony that we know is at the end of the Super Bowl.
That's so funny.
They just walk off the field when it's like, yeah, I know.
Super Bowl one lore is crazy.
There was more dead air.
I agree with Logan. Go and watch this podcast with Pablo Torre. Oh my God, he found the one dude who got like permit. Like the guy gave the film to like a museum, and
Yeah.
now like you have to call the museum. They have to call the NFL. Make sure you're not gonna profit or anything off this video,
Yeah.
and then they can set up a filming for you to come and watch it.
Because you correct me, this will be my last point. But you correct me if I'm wrong, Gov, and I want you to because I'm all about transparency here. But part of the reason why is because he could profit off of it, but he doesn't own the rights. He only owns the footage. So basically, NBC and
Technically, he
CBS
doesn't own the footage. Like the
Yeah, he
guy
doesn't own the
recorded
footage
it and then
anymore.
like left it in his attic, and like after he died,
Right.
in the will to leave to his wife because he thought it might be worth money one day.
correct. So he
Not realizing that both CBS and NBC, because that's another one, both networks ran the game and had
Imagine
their
two
own
networks
crew.
running a game now.
Yeah,
Nickelodeon.
Nick, oh, all right.
That counts.
No one's
SpongeBob,
watching Nick
Nickelodeon.
Burrows.
Oh, I'm watching I'm watching the
No,
Nick
no.
cast. I will have
Same.
the Nickelodeon
Please,
cast
stop.
on
Same.
myself.
Please
Like,
stop.
It will be
Yeah, on your cell
Oh,
phone. No one's watching it. As
no,
a main
not
thing.
myself. Like I have two monitors. All right, like people can tell because sometimes I'm looking at you, and sometimes I'm looking at the four of us, and sometimes I'm looking at you, and sometimes I'm looking at my lineups, and sometimes I'm looking at you. Like so, like yeah, okay.
yeah, I mean we do a little
I
bit
will
of
have on
footage.
Nickelodeon. I will have on the football game. I will have on everyone in Discord.
He'll
Okay.
have his pizza down on his lap.
Partly fun, but I do want
Yes.
Gov, I do want a SpongeBob breakdown of his performance after the Super Bowl.
No. I can't. I don't do breakdowns. No, that's not my thing.
He's not D-Generation X. He's not going to break it down.
Okay, but somebody's got to tell me if it's actually good though. Like,
I'll
I
just watch
appreciate that,
highlights of it.
Kevin. I
No,
appreciate that.
the Nick Super Bowl thing, or the Nick game in general, I like. And when the Nick game is on, I watch it. But I can't do it for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl's too serious.
So you think there's going to be exactly 13 songs on Taylor Swift's new album?
I think
I
this
saw-
is 87.
No.
That's too much. Come on.
Before we
I
move
mean-
on from the Super Bowl topic, I do want to point out one more thing. Green Bay Packers star Max McGee, his story about the showing up at the Super Bowl.
They talk about that because like the corner from the Kansas City Chiefs, the hammer, he talks
Hammer.
about wanting to take out a receiver, and he takes out their top receiver like first play of the game, which makes Max McGee the top receiver, and he ends up having a hell of a game on the other side.
Yes.
And you know what the best part was? He was hungover from the night before.
No, not
Yes.
just hungover.
Yes.
He was like
Yes.
hungover. I knew that story about it.
He would make
He
Rodman
had 2
look sober?
touchdowns.
Are we talking about he would make like Dennis Rodman look sober? That kind of level hungover?
You could make that comparison to Dennis Rodman, actually. Yeah.
Yes. It was bad. Like
Yeah, solid.
he said he was throwing up before the game, like right before the game.
He stumbled back to his hotel at 6:30 in the morning that day.
Yeah. And that's why I love it, because I wanted the show to be a bit special. We're obviously going to be building lineups. We'll transition to that shortly. But when I saw that podcast and how well it was done, I got to give a shout out to Pablo. He did fantastic. And that's the kind of stuff I want to be able to bring on this podcast. It's just this open transparency of, oh, I saw this awesome thing. I need to share this. Even if it only goes out to 10 people, 10 people become 20 people if they talk about it. So again, just like and subscribe and just keep looking for good content. And speaking of good content, keep looking for good contests too. There's a lot of free contests this week. They've been doing contests all week leading up to the Super Bowl, offering free tickets, offering free opportunities for the Super Bowl. I actually won a free ticket into the Millie, so now we have 2 entries into the Millie. So it'll be fun because I'll have a show lineup and we'll have my own personal one we can compare and contrast whenever we do the review show. So it's going to be very interesting. I was going to build 2 lineups on DraftKings, and then the third one we haven't done it all year, but we're not sponsored by DraftKings. We don't owe DraftKings anything. We do appreciate them. But I did win some money over on FanDuel, so we're going to build a FanDuel lineup because they do things very different and almost disgustingly different. But I think it'll be kind of a fun exercise to do because I know Govs probably hasn't looked a lot at FanDuel, but I think we're all smart enough that like we might be able to build something. The only difference between
You
FanDuel,
said Yahoo. I had to hit the ball again. We're gonna build on FanDuel. Like, good God. Oh.
I know, but no, FanDuel is crazy.
I, for one, have never used FanDuel. I will say that.
See, that's why I wanted
I
to.
started on DraftKings. I never needed to go to FanDuel. I was never in a state where I could use the sports book. And then by the time I was anywhere close to that, DK had their sports book. So
Now, I will say I prefer DraftKings for a lot of reasons, but I want to actually give this compare and contrast because we talk about the differences, but we don't actually show it. I figured this would be the perfect week to do it. I actually had some free money over there. One of the worst things they do, Gov, and in case you don't remember or didn't know, they don't actually change their captain pricing. So whatever a player is on their showdown is the price.
Yeah, you just want your top player.
yeah, that's
scorer.
basically how it needs to go. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no advantage to playing a cheaper
used
guy at all.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's terrible, but I think like it's one of those things where, like when a movie's so bad that it's good, I think we might actually be able to build a good lineup over on FanDuel. But let's get over to the Millie first. Go ahead.
Let's go ahead and I was gonna say let's get Gov's pick of captain lineup in first.
Oh yes, the victory lineup.
He
the
does
lineup-
get the. Does he get the Millie captain? I don't know
Yeah.
what we decided on.
I would prefer the
He-
Millie captain.
He
but-
gets the Millie cap.
Okay.
all right.
I would
Well-
also prefer the Millie captain. If you're trying to get different, you might as well go with Gov's strategy.
It's true.
Like it's a great way to get different. And like I do think we'll need to do one other thing, but
Mhm.
like one other business decision is not a huge thing, and we'll basically be able to build how we like. So let's go ahead and do it. Put in my boy Kyle. Kyle. He's right there, Kyle. Kyle. All right.
I know we were having some fun
I
with it.
also think this lineup should immediately come preloaded with CMC. Any disagreement?
I think if you're playing a cheap captain, it has to go with Mahomes and CMC. You have to have
I
the two.
agree.
I think
100%
CMC
agree.
and Kelsey are more important than Mahomes.
Agreed.
But like, yeah, definitely CMC. I could
Okay.
see maybe both Mahomes and Kelsey, but I
I would
definitely
say
think
both.
Kelsey first.
I would put both in there.
I would say both because you're paying up.
I can do both. Both can work.
My thing is, this is what I've been doing most of my lineups. I've been fading Purdy.
And I want to have more of a discussion about this because there's only so much we can do anyways. But it's if we're going to be so different at captain and we're going to pay down so much, I feel like one of the best ways to do that is to pay up in ways that people cannot. And one of the ways that people are not going to be able to pay up is having both quarterbacks, the best player on the field, which is CMC, and Mahomes' best player, which is Kelsey. Like the only way you do this is if you pay for a guy under $1,000.
Yeah.
I don't think
Right
there's
now
no
we're
way.
pulling a lot of ownership. We haven't like other than our captain, we haven't lost any ownership.
But I'm
right.
saying in combined ownership, how much do you think this is owned? Because I don't think there's another way to do it.
Like the captain keeps us low owned.
That's what I'm
Only
saying.
people with use check captains will have this lineup. But right now, we're starting out basically how every use check captain is going to start out. But I also think it is the most likely to be optimal.
Yes.
I agree. I think Purdy could be the fade. I think we need
Pacheco.
one more slightly lower owned business decision.
Evans being the
So-
most modest, so I'm going to give him the loudest voice here on this next selection. Where would you like to go in terms of if this was your lineup right now, Evan? Where would your heart say to go?
Okay, so we have 16
We only have
grand
two spots
left,
Yeah.
We have the
which
top.
We
top
can
three
literally play basic. Like we can play almost every. We can't go Purdy Debo.
no, we have to go cheaper at this
We
point.
can
And
go
what
almost anything.
I'm pondering at this point is that is this an opportunity to stick in one of the kickers and then find another cheap player?
Mm.
We don't need the kicker. I mean, we could, but
Like,
if we go
we did,
kicker,
it would be Butker because it would correlate
Yeah,
with
it would be
Mahomes.
Butker, and then you could go any player.
But
as
I
well.
don't think so. Like, I think we need to find a cheaper guy even than that. Like, I have no problem leaving money on the table to help get different. So,
Well,
like,
My
I wouldn't
thing
mind
is,
going, like, looking at
I would go
ownership
MVS
right
here.
now. I wouldn't mind grabbing
Here
Noah
I go
Gray,
MVS.
like, even, like, Valdez Scantling. We know he's getting 3 balls thrown to him.
Exactly.
I would rather play either like a Watson or a Moore over MVS because I think MVS will get a few targets, but I mean, they're.
You can't.
You
convince me to
also
play
know what he
Moore.
could and could not do with those targets.
I
get it.
know he's a
get
deep
it.
threat guy. That's what's kind of killing me with
Don't-
this because I don't like him, but I know he's going to
Looking
get
at
some
my
deep
stats,
targets.
we've had a full season, and at a full season, the place where San Fran's the weakest is the outside receivers. Like, I think, like, Moore I could see, but he
I
has
like
been
Moore.
injured, not used all year. Like, they have been trying to use MVS.
Yeah, the MVS. They want MVS to be the deep threat.
Like,
Yes.
and
They
if
do
we
not
have
want them
Mahomes, we
anymore.
have Like, I think we go MVS.
That's
And then
what was
we can
killing me about
literally
what I was
play
saying.
Whoever we want.
Yeah. No, I
Right.
agree with you, Gov. I think you've convinced me at this point because MVS has been consistently
MVS?
used that way. They've been dying to get him the ball, even though he drops
It
a lot.
hurts. I get you. It hurts because he could go 0 for 3 on his targets,
But I think it's
here-
worth
and
it.
they could bounce off his hands.
now I
When
think
he
there's
catches
only
that one, just like he has in the last few weeks, like it at that price, it could work.
I
But
think
now
there's
we literally
only
can play whoever we want, and I think like this is where you just have to debate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Debo.
what's the best thing, Debo?
My
I
thing
think-
is, I think Purdy. If you're going this route, you're saying it's probably going to be rush game touchdowns anyway.
Yes.
So I want to avoid. I don't
Debo
know
will get
if I
handoffs.
want. I don't want Ayuk at all, really, in this lineup. If we're this specific build, I don't want Ayuk.
Same.
wouldn't it make more sense to go Debo because he might get a rushing touchdown?
Exactly, like either Debo or Purdy. I'm
So-
fine with.
The only way I go Purdy is if you think McCaffrey gets 6 targets through the
Right,
air.
right. Like in
Yeah.
with Nick Bolton probably being the main guy guarding him, I could see those 6 targets being literally just 6 points, and he doesn't really get much open field work.
Yeah, I'm lower on Debo than most people. I'm just saying like he's the one guy that could score a lot.
I
And
have Debo
not-
33%
And I think I might
in my
just
lineup.
go Purdy just because he's been like at this point
He's
he can
just averaging
take-
20
he can
points
just
per game.
take raw points.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the thing is
Like
we
Debo
all
is the other guy because he can outscore, but I think if Debo outscores with the other two, it's because of a passing touchdown, and then we might want Purdy over Mahomes anyway.
and maybe this is the only rare exception of this, but I do think we are pairing Brock Purdy still with his best receiver. In my
Yes,
opinion.
this is true.
Like not like valid. Yeah, like not even going to deny that.
Yeah, so like maybe Purdy fails, but like quarterbacks have such a safe floor, and that's honestly why I want to play Mahomes because I don't.
And like, not only are we going to get low ownership, we're going to leave $3K on the table. Like, yeah,
But I'm gonna tell you why I think that's
we
This
might,
is a million
we might
lineup.
solo ship this Millie.
But I'm gonna tell you why I think this is the good lineup because let's say we take out, MVS, and we're like, you know what, we're gonna play a really good player, right? Name the really good player that's here. We're $400
Now, if
away
you wanna
from kill.
be-
There's no
highest-
player. There's no player here.
Now, I will
Yeah.
say, if you
Now,
want the
I
highest owned player,
Yeah,
it would have been Rashid. But he
See-
is lower projected than Purdy.
Yeah, see, my thing is here. If we're going here, there's one way you could play absolutely everyone, and that's if Jarrett McKinnon does play, and you don't know what work he's going to do.
it's what I'm doing in some of my lines.
I
Or-
have a lineup like that. I have a Jarrett McKinnon lineup.
Yeah, I do too. Or you can do Rashid Rice and pair him instead of Kelsey, and then you can get. To the
I would not get rid of Kelsey. There's no way I'm
Yeah.
getting rid of Kelsey. I'm
Right.
like
Well-
him. Like if you, like just for the narratives,
Right.
Kelsey is like I have to play Kelsey.
Yeah, and
Is-
the reason I say that, though, I'll get you in here in a minute, Evan, I promise. But Kyle Juszczyk is going to be still higher owned than he should be because he's so cheap. So the only way I feel like to get different with him is to pay up for options that other people cannot afford. Because we were playing him at captain, we get what, an extra like $1,000 or $2,000, and most people will put him in the flex. So we have to use that for like a Kelsey to be different. Otherwise, we're playing like a Rice, and then we play like a Kittle, and then we're not that different,
No,
Projected.
I was about to say them were way too different. Like you're giving up way too much just to get different on guys that don't
Right.
well. Like
Exactly.
you do this, like there's correlation. Everything about it can work. Like Mahomes can go off throwing to Kelsey and hitting a bomb to Scantling and be the top 3 guys on Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
You just need Rice and Pacheco to have just like normal days. And then if the entire offense goes through Purdy, McCaffrey, which is 100% viable, you just need Juszczyk to get 35, 40 yards and a touchdown. Get to 10, 11, 15. Like, ideally, you need him to get to like 15 points at captain. But if he can get to 15 points,
Mm-hmm.
he'll be the optimal captain at his price.
No, yeah, like the only thing
he'll
that
be
could
able to
really
fit in
screw
everything.
up Juszczyk captain, like if Juszczyk gets work,
The only thing
Legitimate
that
work.
hurts this lineup is Kittle. If it's a Kittle day, that
when's the last time we had a Kittle day? Legitimately,
couple weeks ago, I think, when Debo got like hurt.
He was supposedly banged up too, so this
I don't
extra
Kittle is
week,
banged up going into this week. The only thing that
Yeah.
scares me, but this
Him
scares
and
me for the run
Juszczyk
game.
Debo were the one, like, I forget if Debo was hurt in the last Super Bowl, but I know that him, Juszczyk, and Debo were the only ones from that last Super Bowl team.
but we're being disrespectful. Evan had a point. He patiently waited. What was your point, Evan? Go ahead.
It's already gone. You already submitted the lineup, so it doesn't matter now.
It's
No,
fine.
no, no.
You could change it.
I can
You can
pull it
always-
back.
Yeah,
What do you got?
it's not. We can always change it. Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna build a second lineup, it doesn't matter anyway, so it can wait. But it seemed like this season, even with the ongoing toe injury that Kittle's had, it's almost been a perfect, like every other game has been a Kittle game for just whatever reason.
Pull up Kittle's player card if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can when we go into the next lineup.
Yeah.
So against the Lions, he only had 3 targets, and then against the Packers, he had 7. So, and he got in the end zone against the Packers because they suck at
Look at
guarding
the-
tight ends. So there you go.
Now the Chiefs do give it up on the ground a lot, and they do give it up over the middle. But I think that favors McCaffrey in both elements on the ground. And like, I really think McCaffrey could have a big day. I'm almost considering betting him for MVP, even though it's only at 450 to 1. It's just like that way I'll have Kelsey and McCaffrey in my portfolio. No matter who wins the game, I feel like I have the most talented, players in terms of receptions. I don't know. I kind of like it.
I'll say this about Kittle. He's had a great year, but I don't know how much of an impact he's gonna. The real question is, what kind of defense are we gonna get from Kansas City? Is it gonna be blitz heavy and they're gonna be checkdowns for San Francisco? Are they gonna go coverage and look at Kittle and eliminate Kittle? Are they gonna try to eliminate McCaffrey? You don't know how the Chiefs are going to defend it because there's not really a real way to defend this Niners offense.
Well, the Chiefs go up a ton to the middle of the field, I believe, and to the running back.
But you can't give it up to the middle of the field because you have Debo, and Debo's going to kill you.
That's what a lot of people think is either going to be Kittle or Debo. I actually think CMC could break. I think Kyle could want to get CMC the MVP. He obviously has family ties. It's almost like a nod or a thank you to CMC. Alone, the talent. CMC's just talented. Let's be honest. But like, if there is that bit of nudge to actually feature him more, I mean, I think we could easily see CMC get like 10 targets in this game. I truly do.
If CMC doesn't at least, including targets and rushes, he should have chances at 25 touches in this game. if they
Easy.
want to win.
See, but I think it's more like 35.
Like,
I
and-
really-
That's why I was
legitimately,
yeah, 25 easy.
yeah, exactly. If they don't get CMC the ball at least 25 times,
He got
they
hurt.
had failed as an offense.
And let's not, like, we're talking about Kittle was banged up during the playoffs. Debo was banged up during the playoffs. Like, CMC is the workhorse. He has been the
Speaking of
workhorse.
banged up in injury news, the Chiefs did announce one of their best offensive linemen, Joe Tooney, is out. Someone
Yeah.
who's played in multiple Super Bowls with the Patriots and also played with the Chiefs. He's an important piece.
Which is why I like Sky Moore, to be honest, because I think they'll be trying to get the ball out quicker. So they'll be going to Kelsey and Sky Moore a lot. They tried the deep throws and that kind of stuff, and those guys kept dropping the ball like MVS. I mean, I know why we played MVS because we're hoping for that home run ball. Like it's similar
It's
to
the
the
middle. You
Jameson
have to do
Williams.
something. Like,
Yeah, I get it. It's similar to the Jameson Williams kind of
Lineup
home
made
run
sense.
threat.
Like I think the lineup made sense, but like,
Yeah.
how do we? You guys take the reins on this one. Like, how do you want to go with this one?
see, I want to get cheap differently, and we don't know if he's playing yet, but he could. I want to throw McKinnon in a lineup. If he plays and legitimately gets work, I feel like it's no different than just having a cheap use.
He is the cheapest of the actual like viable guys that could
He's
actually.
minimum price, and he could legitimately get work on the Super Bowl.
Okay, so let's do this thing because we're gonna pay that.
I can see using McKinnon in like the flex, but
Just
like,
just to flex. I'm not saying a captain, just to flex.
No, I think that's smart because then we can do a TMC captain if we want to.
That's like one thing I want to lock in. If he's playing, I want a piece.
So here's the thing, though. The reason I want to do it, especially as a thought experiment first, is Evan had a really good idea. I could tell by what he wanted to do with this lineup. So now, if we did this, Donnie's giving you basically free reign to have whoever you want. Who do you think is the best player in this game, Evan?
I don't think there is a best player because it's going to be wild in the way these guys are used. Because, like, I mean, take last year, for example, with the Chiefs. Who predicted Sky Moore to finally catch a touchdown pass after getting virtually no usage all season long? That's when they finally gave him one of those. But that was a question I was actually not ready for, Logan. So that's one I'm kind of hemming and hawing at to try and find an answer. But I
That's
do want to
fair.
get Isaiah Pacheco in there somewhere, even if he's captain.
I like this is just the McKinnon thing. If he doesn't play, obviously it's a huge change on the lineup. But I feel like it's a good. You have to at least try it.
So if McKinnon doesn't play, who would you guys want then? Let's build it that way. Do we just go to Kyle?
It
yeah, I
depends
think
on how
we
much
just
money.
make sure we
have.
have
Yeah.
what is it?
600?
600. We just need to
600,
make sure we have 600 left to be able to make that flip.
Make that switch, right? Okay.
I think we can do that.
Or we can do a 2v2 if we really need to.
Just let's be. If McKinnon plays, he could get more work than Kyle easily.
I do think playing Pacheco and McKinnon could make you different. It's almost like the Gibbs and Montgomery. They are different players, so even though they have the same position, people will be scared of it, but I think they're very different. McKinnon is a lot more like Gibbs, and Pacheco is a lot more, your goal line threat. Does anyone have a problem with playing Pacheco, at least in flex?
No,
I don't have a problem with it.
I
playing
would
Pacheco at
prefer him
all.
in the flex than at captain,
I
but
would
yeah, I have no
too.
problem with Pacheco.
I would too because we're playing CMC or we're playing McKinnon, so I think this is like the only and perfect time to put CMC in captain.
We need to figure out who the captain's going to be. Like, is it going to be CMC in this one? Like, who do we think?
Well, we're saying this is a running game, right?
Yeah.
yeah, like,
So,
right now, yeah, we're saying Kansas City is
so
running the ball.
That means San Fran's behind. So I feel like it has to be a pass catcher or Purdy.
I don't necessarily think we're saying that, though. I think we're just playing McKinnon, and McKinnon's a wide receiver kind of hybrid. So it's like we're playing him because of the
If
price.
he plays with a Thuney injury,
I think
though,
if we're with Pacheco, we're saying Kansas City's at least up in this game.
yes.
Yeah.
That
So like,
means
I
Kansas City will
think
abandon
this
the
is
run
where
if they
like
have to.
I think we just go full Kansas City then, and just do like Kelsey and then add Mahomes.
Do we know how well Nick Bolton and the Chiefs defense have defended tight ends all season?
If you doesn't it show if we look at Kittle at fantasy wise, doesn't that mean they're fourth in defending tight ends fantasy wise?
Yeah, I can look at that real
I
fast.
just didn't know if there was more intuitive data than just that.
I don't know. Well, I'm sure there is somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Kittle's 6'4", I think.
Yeah, he's pretty cheap for what he could do. So we are going CMC at captain, right?
I have no idea.
I think that's the one way to get different with this lineup.
See, I think we go Kelsey.
I was gonna say, aren't most people gonna be putting in CMC at captain?
Yeah, he is the chalkiest one.
Yeah.
Kelsey's the
Kelsey-
second chalkiest.
I get
Yeah,
that.
but I'm fine like going down a little bit to Kelsey and
But
that.
if
And
we
then
go
have
Kelsey-
the extra money,
If we go Kelsey and 3 Chiefs,
because I still think like again we need to play CMC.
we got to lock in Mahomes too, right? Then because we're gonna play.
Yeah, I
Pacheco.
think this is the Kansas City onslaught, and then we fill it out with CMC and whatever we can get for San Francisco.
Okay,
That would be Jawan Jennings, I believe, right? Or no, a little bit off.
I think Sky Moore.
Well, we want to work in some Niners too, right?
Yeah, we want to get Niners in there. But we
No.
can't. Elijah Mitchell is not a good play.
We're playing it as if the Chiefs are going to be running.
Honestly, like because of
Let's do Kansas City's defense. Then, in my
because of the
opinion.
contingency, I don't think we even need a Niner. Like we can play whoever
Yeah,
It's
here's
just
the thing,
CMC 's
as
the
long
best.
as
If you
you
do
have the
Kansas
600.
City's
Because
defense,
if
it gives you
McKinnon's
600.
out, we're just going to be playing McCaffrey and Juszczyk.
Yeah. But if like does Kansas City's defense give us a change up to the use check thing? It's a little off, isn't it?
It's 100 off.
So I would do it. You just got to give me the 2v2 then. As long as we decide that the
If
switch.
you're saying this is a complete blowout, which is kind of what the lineup says, this is just a complete dog walking.
Like we could go with any one of the Kansas City extra guys: Noah Gray, Sky Moore, Watson.
I'm not
MVS,
comfortable with Hardman,
Tony.
Or CEH. If
I
we're
could
gonna
make
play-
an
or
I could
CEH. Yeah,
I could see an argument for Kadarius Toney because he did catch one last year in last year's Super Bowl, where I could see them using him again. But the
yeah,
same,
but he was used
eh.
throughout the playoffs in that run. It wasn't like
What is
he
that?
came out of nowhere. He was used that whole end of that season. He was impactful through the whole end of that
He's
season.
basically saying he's
Right,
ramped up.
But I'm just talking about the Super Bowl, not just the playoffs.
Yeah, but he's been a zero all this year. Like he,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's why. Like I think the guy who like actually would get it is MVS.
MVS definitely over Tony and Moore.
But like I've also seen Watson like checking the snaps. Like
Watson is the red zone guy. Like if let's just say they ran the ball all the way down the field, like I think he would check in at that like red zone opportunity. So he's probably got the highest touchdown upside of their wide receivers outside of Kelsey. But his targets have been very low.
Do we have enough red zone volume or data for all these guys?
Oh, I don't pay attention to math. I just use my eyes.
Well, I was looking for more intuitive data that could help us make
we
that
do
decision.
have some. I'm looking it up right now.
I
well,
just
we
know
know it's not going to be. We know one thing: it's not going to be Hardman because they're still upset with him,
no, they're definitely upset with him with
and
the
it's not
display.
going to be Tony.
It
most
seems
likely.
like it's most likely going to be either Watson or MVS.
I would
The
go
only other
MVS
person
over
they were
Watson.
using at all so far was Richie
But if we're-
James.
Richie James. That's a good one.
I think I'm MVS over Watson because he's still got the chance to
And then,
score.
like I think I'm Noah Gray, honestly.
Yeah.
We could throw in the hometown legend for me.
Well, Noah Gray, I think, has a chance to be on the field the most of all.
He was on the field 60% throughout the playoffs.
Right.
He's
That-
averaging about 60% of the snaps. in
Yeah,
the
so
playoffs.
I honestly think it's between MBS, Justin Watson, and Noah Gray.
According to the usage that these guys have been getting throughout the playoffs, I mean, the 60% field percentage snap indicates Noah Gray's targets as well, where he's a clear distant way behind Kelsey. So if he happens to get 3 to 5 targets, well, that's good enough PPR volume for what we have left.
And I feel like that's what he's averaged recently.
Yeah, recently,
He's
yeah.
gotten
targets
three
against
three and 5 targets in his last 2 games. Yeah.
He
He
has
can
sure
easily get
hands.
3 to 5 targets. Like,
And who's to say they don't run, on the goal line, they don't run a fake and boom, he's right there.
yeah.
Kansas City's great at that.
And like, I honestly think leaving money on the table is a great way to get different in the
Well,
showdown this week.
Well, let's do this. Take McKinnon out. Let's say McKinnon's hurt.
Okay.
And at this
What-
point, we'd have 2,300 left. Sky Moore?
What do we do with that?
Sky Moore. I think it's Sky Moore. Because there's also a question that he might not play, so I don't feel like people will be comfortable. So if we're talking about low-owned guys that have a chance to score a touchdown,
I'll say this. Yes, Sky Moore has a chance. You go Richie James, and you get the punt return upside possible.
out and we have that much money, we just go to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
You might be right.
Because like we're talking the
might be
same
right.
game script.
actually
back.
that's pretty
Yeah.
clever because McKinnon would be out. I actually bet that.
Well,
Like-
yeah, I like that.
Then we're going full onslaught with everyone except Rashi.
Well, you get
Like we're saying Rashi's the only one who doesn't have a
But
good
you get
score.
all the touchdown upside, really, outside of MVS's deep threat.
and even if Raji was to score,
Yeah, we're
with-
saying like they grind it out with Pacheco down there, and then Mahomes throws a couple shorties to Kelsey and Noah Gray.
well, what I like about that too is let's say Rice does have like a mediocre day. It's not like we're dead because we do have Mahomes.
My question is, could we change the captain to Mahomes and still get Kelsey in there? Would you guys like that?
That's
Do we
what I
have
would.
the money- do we have the money for it?
That's what I would do. But I think
Kelsey, let me double check.
I was just about to ask, where's Mahomes on the chalky part of captain?
He's below Kelsey.
So he's third.
Mahomes is barely more expensive than Kelsey. We definitely could do
Yeah.
it.
we can afford
Yeah,
it.
we do. It does work.
I like it, but I don't know if you guys will. Basically,
Now, to be fair, could we have moved McCaffrey to the captain?
yeah, I think we
Do-
could.
If we could afford it, I
Check.
would do that.
Check.
I think we can.
Switch McCaffrey and Mahomes. Take
Not
out
good.
that. Take out McCaffrey. Put in Mahomes in the flex.
See, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
That
No. Put in Mahomes in the flex first.
Well, it's
That way
fine.
we'll know.
Just do it.
Okay, fine.
Either way, we still know.
Oh wow, it works. Okay, so and we have money to go up from McKinnon.
Yeah,
Do we have enough to get all
yeah,
the way
we get
to
up
the
to CEH.
CEH?
Yeah, it's 1,400 for
yeah, we
CEH.
would.
Or
Oh,
1,200,
Lord.
sorry.
We'd have just enough.
God,
So okay,
this is the lineup.
yeah, I think
This is the lineup.
that fits a little nicely.
That's sexy.
Yeah, we can
That's
just play
sexy.
McKinnon.
I like it.
Have the ability to. Ooh,
I'm still a little nauseated even thinking about pivoting to CEH.
I already finished my bond.
No, but if
No.
McKinnon's not in, you have to do it. Like,
Oh,
I bet it was.
It's the Super Bowl, you gotta do
Oh,
it,
don't
but
have any
still,
tax
just the
again,
thought
I
of it.
swung again. Oh god.
I'm a bigger CEH hater than you can imagine. So
I'm not actually. I like the.
yeah,
I like
Logan
the-
loves CEH. I hate the guy. I don't hate the guy.
I loved him his rookie year, but man, he fell
strong.
off.
He's a. I'm sure he's a great person.
Wow.
Now, so I have a prop bet on him though. Rushing and receiving yards. This was the idea that McKinnon would be out. I got it at 15.5. I took the over. So rushing and receiving, all I need is 15 yards no matter how he gets it.
Yeah, no, I like that. Like, that's fine.
He's been getting 2 targets a game with
Also, look at you, Logan. Currently at 15.
I'm winning the Desert Classic for the Live Golf Tournament. So hopefully that will just mean I bet a few more NFL props. Like I need more of those. So let me transition over to FanDuel now, and Gov can totally get sick because I don't want to make fun of them, but like when you guys see this, it's gonna almost anger you, given how much strategy and how much structure goes into a DFS line. Or I did it again because DraftKings is king in the DFS community. But it's just crazy how much less intelligent you have to be to build a lineup over on FanDuel. I don't know how else to say it. Like having the pricing be exactly the same, no matter if
Well,
you have.
Pacheco's pretty expensive though. Like they have Pacheco, and McCaffrey's already the price of
So-
a captain almost.
Yeah,
So
I'm
they're
glad
all
you-
basically at captain price. All
I'm
right.
glad you mentioned that, Donnie, because you were all right. What they do is they price up everyone, so obviously the stars get priced up, but still having no difference.
But
in
you have
terms of-
60K instead of 50K.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to mention that. So, given that you don't have a plan or a structure or a strategy, I kind of think it would just be interesting to build this lineup as if we're foreigners to FanDuel. What would you do here?
Well, you know who I'm not seeing, and a guy we haven't even gotten to our portfolio yet is Rashi Rice.
I think like this would be the perfect time to get him in, but like
I should mention.
I don't see any way how McCaffrey's not our MVP.
Again, I agree.
I agree with that. Now, I will say this is a half point per reception site, so it's not a full point.
Yeah, no full point PPR is big difference,
Which
but
I
that
think-
gives McCaffrey more value.
Which I think favors McCaffrey more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
Now-
hinders
now that makes me be like, I don't see how Mahomes isn't like number 2.
Now, I play this more than I think anyone here, so I will tell you that Sky Moore is basically minimum price on this website.
Okay.
I want to look at Rashi Rice like immediately.
I don't know where Rice is because I just set the baseline for because I didn't want to cheat too much. I wanted it to be as fresh as possible for me too.
At 11K, when we have that much left, and we haven't got him at all this game.
Yeah, I want to say Sky Moore might be cheaper than McKinnon even. I want to check that. Yeah, he is.
It's way too expensive. Look at Juszczyk at 5,500, more expensive than Noah Gray. Wow. Look
The
at that.
first-
I'm
the
so
first thing is-
disappointed.
The pricing is different over here. I think Sky Moore might be.
Yeah, but for Juszczyk to be more than Noah Gray.
Yeah. So Sky's only 5.
So what's
Word.
the min?
5K.
Oh, okay.
You get a $60,000 salary cap. Damn. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Like, yeah.
So I mean, we could play a Sky Moore, for example, or someone that cheap, and then you basically, you could do anything you want. at that
We
point.
almost can afford anything as it is.
As
Is
it
this a lineup where we play guys that we're out on, such as Ayuk?
It could be. I have
Like,
no
I still
problem
think
with
we need the
diversifying.
floor. Like, again, raw
The Mahomes
points.
floor, yeah.
It's raw
Because we're
points.
getting the salary, we can play who we need. We need the raw points. So, like, I don't see how we don't now go with a quarterback. Like, we should be now playing like Mahomes.
I would say, Evan, it's more quarterback heavy because it's only a half point on the receptions. It's not a full point like DraftKings.
Yeah. Now, a guy I don't want to play. We're not left with enough there.
But you would go Mahomes over Brock, right, guys?
Yeah, he's only
Yes.
500 difference.
Yes,
You
if I
got-
have to choose one, it's Mahomes.
Agreed.
Especially if we're playing
I was
Rashi.
gonna say, Evan, you're not going to get crazy. You're not going to say like, "Oh, we went Mahomes the last 2. Let's go Brock." I
Where
agree.
is Ayuk? Please tell me he's over 10K. He's
Yeah, where is
under.
Ayuk?
No, he's under.
I was gonna. Okay,
He's under
10-5.
right.
10-5.
I don't mind this, like what Evan said. Just
What's
take
the
the guys that you're out
cheapest
on.
we can go again?
5K.
5K.
Like, let's look at the cheap guy. That
Sky
way,
Moore.
then that way we see what our.
Sky Moore would be the cheapest of the viable.
Well, let's
guys.
see if we don't want to play Sky Moore. Maybe we have to do something
Okay.
a little different.
Like CEH is 6,500.
I would go Justin Watson to get different off of our other stuff, though.
26K,
Kyle Juszczyk is
6K.
500 more than minimum.
See, 55 for use check. Okay, no,
55
bad.
55,
Richie James.
55. See, again, I think we could play use check here. Honestly,
I think I'd go Juszczyk over Richie James too.
Yeah, that's right. And that leaves
okay.
you with,
Now we have
that leaves you
11K.
with Ayuk.
I would play Sky more
We
so we
could
could play.
do Ayuk, but we can't really go any more expensive than that.
See, and this is where I would go Sky instead of Kyle because I want to play Debo.
Well, I mean, we've played Debo in multiple lineups. I just wanted to see what would happen if we did different.
No, I do feel like diversifying that part and getting Ayuk would be the smart move. To not have one of the best players in the game feels weird.
Is it my bad that I kind of want to just go Kittle?
I'm not mad at that. Kittle's
Where's
right
Kittle
under.
on?
Kittle's
Right
right
under Ayuk, I believe.
For
Yeah,
just
he's-
10.
Exactly 10.
I don't hate it.
We have $1,000, so we can move off use check if we wanted to.
So we can
Justin
go to
Yeah.
Watson.
We could get up to Clyde or Jay
Justin
Watt,
Watt makes sense to me.
the Bell,
McKinnon.
Tone, Mac Can.
Mac
do you-
can. That's the best we could. Yeah.
Who do you think has the highest upside? Like, who's the most guaranteed for points? Essentially, like, just say we don't want a zero.
It's gonna end up being Kyle or Clyde.
Watch it somehow be Ronnie Bell on the 49ers.
If it's Ronnie
Do
Bell,
you
I'm
get
fine
kick
being
return
wrong.
touchdowns? Do
Say that-
Yeah, on DraftKings you do. I think on FanDuel you do as
That's the
well.
thing on FanDuel. Do you get the kick return touchdown, or is that going to go to the defense?
I want to say
If you're
you
going to get the
do.
kick return touchdown, then yeah, it could be Ronnie Bell. But otherwise, like I agree. I think
Well,
it's
the
going to
kick
be
return-
one of the backup running backs for KC, whether it's McKinnon or Edwards, or it's going to be use check.
Kyle.
I'd still rather go use check over all those guys.
You go, Kyle. Favorite player of the day, Kyle. I love Kyle. Everybody loves.
Scroll down, see what else is there, just in case we're missing something.
It's the opposite to everybody hates Chris. Everybody loves Kyle.
Who even are? Oh, I didn't even know Willie Snead was on a roster.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's on San Francisco.
Yeah.
Willie
Wow.
Snead the fourth.
Willie Snead. Wow,
Is it-
Sky Moore's that.
Dwelly.
Okay.
Is it sad that I know most of
Ellie
these
Mae.
guys?
Chris Conley. Wow.
Yeah, Chris
Really?
Conley's been around that long. Yeah.
I
He's
forgot
on the
Jerry.
Wait. Zane Gonzalez is still technically on the roster.
I don't believe so. I believe they're counting practice what we got.
I thought they cut him. I didn't think he was like practice squad material.
Yeah,
no, he's injured. Like, is he just like on IR or something?
FanDuel doesn't like to remove guys once they're on the roster of the team, so I wouldn't be
He has a
surprised.
doubtful tag. He's doubtful that he's on the team. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends up being a
what he's
Niners
doubtful
blown
for.
and Jordan
He's
Mason or
doubtful.
something.
He's doubtful to be in the league. Whatever. He's doubtful.
Save the entry.
I don't mind this though,
Yeah,
like
me
it.
neither.
and
Like-
I think it's especially valuable to leave money on FanDuel because, like I said, there's no difference between MVP. So even though the MVP earns 1.5 points, if there's no price difference, one of the ways to force that difference is to be like, screw you, I'm going to leave money on purpose.
Well, that's what I feel like Kyle does for us. Like, Kyle Juszczyk is probably solo owned on FanDuel.
Especially that I feel like if people are going to play Juszczyk, they're going to do it under the premise that maybe they're hoping he kind of plays a Taysom Hill kind of tight end role where it's like he's this versatile, like jackknife kind of tight end hybrid, where I don't think many people would do the Kyle and Kittle combination, if that makes sense.
There's no way Kyle gets no chance at the ball, right? Like, Kyle will have a chance to touch the football, I'd assume.
A chance. I don't think it's likely though. I'm probably the lowest on him though of anyone, and I'm okay playing him because I get the upside.
I mean,
Like-
they have to run the ball a lot on that Chiefs mediocre run defense, right?
Well, I feel like
That's
it's
how you beat him.
Yeah, that's how you beat them. And the Ravens forgot to do it.
well, I kind of feel like I'm having the inverse of you, Evan, where it's like you didn't want to play JMO all those weeks, but you knew what I was fishing for, but you just didn't want to keep taking the shot because you're like he's either going to get 0 or like 10. The thing is, I know Kyle could get 10 because he could easily get that, Peyton Hill type touchdown where he is the goal line back.
Yeah, it just depends on the week too. Like Super Bowl week, you have to go crazy with this stuff because it's one game. You have to
Yeah.
pick guys that you wouldn't typically pick on any other week. Like when else are we going to play Kyle Juszczyk, right?
Well,
I
and
mean, I play him in every showdown slate that the San
Yeah.
Francisco 49ers played this year. So
yeah, he
I'm not one to speak on that. I love playing Kyle Juszczyk. He's on the field so much. They have plays for him. I still like. Okay, I'll be honest. The reason I love to play Kyle Juszczyk is because of my flashbacks to watching him score 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl against Kansas City, and sitting there and looking at my DraftKings lineup and being like, I have everything right except I didn't play Juszczyk.
But honestly, that's kind of what the Super Bowl is about, though, guys. If we were just talking about pure football, I think pure football ended with the championship game. Like, this is the game where you kind of lean into the nostalgia. You kind of lean into watching the game with family and friends and people that you don't normally do. So there is going to be part of that during the game as well. You guys got to remember, there's an hour halftime show. So that's more time for the coaches and things to strategize and prepare. And
People
I
need to cool
honestly,
down and need to be able to stay warmed up.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of Kyle, the talent like Gov is, but he was so cheap. Like even Donnie was, I think, thinking, after he had his one good playoff game, his price would jump. It didn't.
I thought it would be 1,400,
Yeah,
and
it
it didn't change.
So when it doesn't change, it allows me to get all the other studs I like to do, which I like the stars and scrub lineup. So I'm okay with it because, like, I do think of all the cheap guys, he has probably the highest upside for a touchdown. So, and if we get a touchdown, this lineup is basically winning. Like all your Kyle lineups win if he gets a touchdown. I feel like it doesn't even got to be good production. It's just got to be a 1-yard touchdown, and you're going to win.
If Juszczyk gets decent PPR volume that, half PPR volume that will lead to like 5 fantasy points, then
Yeah.
I guess we just have to live with that.
Well, and I'm okay living with a 0. Like I wouldn't like it, but I think
What do
this
you-
one.
I have a question. Out of everything we've played, what do you guys think our biggest miss potentially is?
Rice.
We played some rights though. I mean, like, if you're
I
saying we
still-
should
I
have
s-
got almost
Like
100%,
we got to
of them.
Kittle, like
We didn't get any
Deebo.
Devo.
We didn't
We
get
didn't
any
get any
Ayuk,
Deebo.
did we?
Deebo or Ayuk. Like we really kind of forgot the passing game.
Sorry, I misunderstood the
Francisco.
question. I was thinking we were asking about like who could like miss their projected volume.
No,
as
no.
opposed to
Who
what
did
did we
we
miss out on?
Who are we missing out on?
I get that. No, that's that. But
It's Devo.
Yeah, since we have multiple lineups, let's look at it as a portfolio. Who are we missing out on? Like
yeah, it
if
seems like we
Deebo or Ayuk had a big game, like that helps nothing of us. We just like sit there and lose.
Mhm.
I'm fine with not playing Ayuk much because I've
Deebo
never
is the
been a
one that
big,
scares me the most. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
I'd
like-
like to play more Deebo.
I feel like the thing that might be killing us unironically the most is we aren't projecting that Purdy has had a lot of bad games, and we could just see like 3 interceptions for the Chiefs.
I bet interceptions on Purdy at over a half. If I'm going to fade any quarterback, it's going to be Brock Purdy. I think Brock,
I'm a Brock Purdy fan, but I
I'm
am fading him a lot this week.
What if
I
this
think
game
that-
turned out to be an interception fest? How
Like
sad
that's
would
what I
that
mean.
be?
This game could easily be very low scoring. We're so stuck on the star power and offensive coaches. The Chiefs have thrived in low scoring games all year round.
well,
I
and he does like to sit on the ball too if he gets the lead.
Both teams have phenomenal defenses too.
Yeah. I really do feel like that might be our big miss.
Oh,
Well-
not including a 49er or Chief defense, DST?
Specifically the Chiefs defense. I don't think there's a
the
way the Niners
defenses.
completely fail.
Could we have a defensive Super Bowl? Oof.
I
This
legitimately
is the
think-
best defense. Like San Fran has been notoriously having a good defense, and this is the best Chiefs defense. Could we get a defensive Super Bowl?
We're
Like,
not many
is
people. are
anyone going to be
projecting
happy if
yeah.
we get another 10-3 Rams
I-
Patriots
I'm
kind of Super Bowl?
I'm expecting like a 24-21 score, and it's sloppy.
When do they get above 20 points? Is it like third and fourth quarter touchdowns when the teams are getting tired?
I probably, yeah. I think
Like
it's gonna be
San
a slow
Fran, I
first
can
half.
definitely see getting to 24, but it's a stretch with how they've been playing this year that the Chiefs even get to 21.
See, on
Yeah.
FanDuel, it's interesting because they always price up their defenses more too. I wanted to bring up that point. Like both defenses are higher than
Here it's
NBS.
not worth it.
I don't want to bring this back to DraftKings too quickly, but I think it's fascinating that the line on the spread has not moved all fucking week.
With a lot of bets on Kansas City, I think.
It's going to move.
I heard
think-
somewhere that like the majority of the bets that are over like 6 figures have been on San Fran.
Niners are still the favorite at -2. It is
Well,
really
I
fucking close.
think I heard like the way the bettors were talking or the books were talking that it potentially, if it kept going the way it was early in the week, that the Chiefs, all the bets on the Chiefs, it could almost be better for them for the Niners to win now at this point, even though with all the odds that they had making early in the year.
I wanted to close up the show doing something a bit off the board. A lot of people want your bold takes, and I guess you guys can give me your bold takes if
I
you
guess I
want.
gave you one on the defensive stuff.
You kind of did. But you can give your bold take if you want. But really, I want each of us to give our most conservative, our most likely and conservative take. Like, what if you had to give the people a guarantee, like this is going to happen? Like, what do you think that is?
Christian McCaffrey has a great day and gets the ball a lot.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
Like-
honestly, it sounds silly.
Kelsey
But
gets a red zone target.
Like exactly, like it seems silly, but we do overthink a lot, and
yeah,
I think
that's
a good
why I wanted to
Oh,
do
yeah,
this.
like,
on purpose.
think about it simply. Kelsey's going to get a red zone target if it's available.
It's the good old keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's going to get a lot of work.
Evan, you got anything?
I think the first half of this game is going to be a field goal fest. It's going to be like 9-6 at halftime, and you're going to see a lot of Taylor Swift, and all these guys are going to be like, she's not giving too much. And then the second half is going to be when we start to see like CMC catch a touchdown and Juszczyk catch a touchdown, and it
So,
just keeps going
Evan,
from there.
You think it's going to be 6-9 at halftime?
Yes. Isn't that nice?
Okay, I'm gonna say one of the most obvious things, and I think it's going slip on because I think people want the Cinderella, they want the kind of pageantry of the Super Bowl. One of these quarterbacks has a chance to go down as the greatest quarterback to ever live. One of these
Purdy.
quarterbacks has a chance to go down as the most unforgettable. No one cares about your quarterbacks, and I don't think enough is being played. I could easily see the Chiefs blowing out the 49ers.
Why easily?
Because Purdy.
Because they're better. They
But
stop.
you said Chiefs blowing out the Niners, if I heard you correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still don't see how.
Brock
they
Purdy.
Brock Purdy fails. He throws that 3-interception game that Donnie talked about. He tried to throw the game away against the Lions, but we have such a bad secondary, he couldn't do it.
No, he hasn't had an exceptional week in a long time.
Which leads me to believe that for the Super Bowl strategy, they're just going to A, keep the ball on the ground a lot, and B, do a lot of like special end arounds and check downs, and that's how you're going to get Debo involved.
Maybe, but I said that for the end because to me, it's just an obvious thing. Like you look at Travis Kelce, Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes, Hall of Famer, Andy Reid, Hall of Famer, and then you look at Kyle, which gets a lot of credit, but he also choked against the Patriots.
He has 2 history of being a choker in the Super Bowl.
Like I know that can kind of seem like media hyperbole, but I buy it a bit, man. Like
No, see, I can't blame him for the Niners one where he dials up the perfect play to put the Chiefs away and Jimmy G just misses it.
I'm not saying he will have like this. I'm saying there's a chance that this game's not close, and I think if it's a blowout, it favors the Chiefs by far.
Me too. That's where I'm leaning. I had the Chiefs winning this game.
And I'm hoping at halftime it's close because I want to bet the Chiefs again. I've bet the money line on the Chiefs almost all week because I don't see any reason to take the +2 because I just think the Chiefs are that much better.
I'm not ready to buy into that right now. I think the spread that's going on DraftKings right now is pretty damn accurate. I could see the Niners like squeaking out a win by like a field goal, like a game winner by Jake Moody.
Yeah.
These are my second half lineups that I wanted to show. My second half lineups is basically saying that Kansas City's not going to need to do much to finish this game out, if you look.
See, I have mine reserved, but I am not building my second half lineups until the second quarter.
Well, I could just, double check after. I
Yeah.
will use my eyes and double check after. This is all.
I will see
going
how
to
the flow of
be.
the game is. I will know who's getting the ball to start the second half.
But I have a placeholder just in case.
I'm doing the same thing, Gov. I don't know why I built a placeholder like I'm actually going
All
to.
I did was reserve the contest.
Yeah.
But like, I have it so that if the Chiefs are winning, here's the recipe to finish this game out.
Yeah, I get that because, like, some people, you should probably do that if you're going to be at parties. I'm not this year.
Now
for the
I'll
first
look.
time.
I have to have a lineup in before I'll look and
Yeah,
put it
and
down
the other
end.
one is okay. Kansas City's down. Here's how Mahomes brings them back. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm playing it as. Either Kansas City's down or Kansas City's up.
Any other Super Bowl takes or season-long takes you guys want to get out?
Season long for this year or next year?
Yeah, any like season-long thing you're proud of? Anything we did on the podcast that like you want to highlight? I thought we had a perfect, by the way, prize. I thought having the captain was a perfect prize for our spread picks.
By the way,
I'd run that back next year.
This is what a McKinnon captain does look like. Pretty much everyone. It's fair.
See, this is why you got to be happy that we have our faces on. Because as soon as you showed that lineup, you should have seen the smirk on Gus' face. He was like, "Oh." Like,
I think I might go like Rice and Pacheco instead of Purdy and Kittle, but that's just me.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, have fun. There's so many props and there's so much nonsense. As long as you have fun with the nonsense, mix it in. Like, have fun, do your laundry.
My thing is, I don't know how you guys feel. Yeah.
Say what?
I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like there is no way I don't turn a profit with my lineups.
Well, that's the thing is this year I've turned a profit. In the season long projection, so I'm treating the Super Bowl as like a celebration, but that doesn't mean I'm popping the top shelf champagne. You still got to be reasonable. Yeah, so like you might have made some profit, but don't lose it all trying to make this spectacular Super Bowl because you won't be having a spectacular Super Bowl.
Well, yeah. Look at I. This is all profit here, and I've only spent $1 on this week, so
I like it. Now, one gambler left people with good advice. He said you should go to bed being anxious about your lineups but able to fall asleep, and you should go to bed at the end of your bets being able to sleep and not being so reckless and restless that you feel like you burnt the house down. So make sure, no matter the outcome of the game, you can get up Monday morning and you can still enjoy your day and nothing gets ruined.
yeah. This week especially is important to remind people that.
And again, Donnie, it's a fun week too. I mean, there's fun props. There's there's Gatorade colors and there's coin tosses and like you should mix that stuff in for the enjoyment. Have a few dollars. You throw around a Super Bowl party and just some silliness, but make sure it stays entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is my silliness right here. If McKinnon plays, this is the silly.
Yeah. And look, he doesn't got to do much. If he has that big breakout game, you're happy. If he doesn't, it's like, well, I got other smart lineups.
Yeah,
So,
like that was just me being silly. Whatever.
Evan, Gov, you got anything else? Oh, look at this. Gov's going to close with his lineups here.
Yeah, I got a shit ton of free contests that I threw my stuff in.
Dude, that's what I'm telling people. Like, when we're talking about having fun, when we're talking about enjoying the game, it doesn't got to be a lot. There are tons of free promotions. It's almost like Super Bowl
I
advertising.
got 6. Or no, 5 free. 5 free.
Yeah, I mean, some of you had to do work. Some of them you had to sign up for the Discords and stuff like that. But
Some
there
of
was
them I got through achievements for playing Rainmakers all year. Like,
yeah, so there are different tiers like of commitment to DraftKings that me and Gov might have earned or that you guys didn't have. But there's a lot of free ones. Like Flowers.com, I think, is doing one. There's an alcohol company sponsoring a couple of them. There's all
Which
kinds
I
of.
can do
damn it, I
now.
missed on the wrong Lakers guard again. Fuck. I never get this right.
Yeah, you can never get.
I played
Lakers
Reeves.
cards
And
right.
I should have played Russell tonight. I played Reeves.
Yep, that happens to me every time I go Lakers guards.
Happens to me every time I play a Boston dude. I play the wrong Boston dude, and there's so fucking many. I
Well,
don't know.
no. Here's the recipe: never play a Boston dude.
And that's coming from a Boston fan. Well, I think that's the nightcap or surprise of the
Like
night.
that's the smartest thing I think I've heard all night. Legit.
Evan, last question for you. When do you think we should do the Super Bowl show? If you had to pick the time we should do the review, when is that?
Do I have a magic
Yeah.
insight into everybody's schedules? Because
So you're saying we should call? Because that's what I'm saying. We've done it all kinds of ways. We went live right after the Super Bowl before. I don't know if we want to do that again.
I just don't want to miss Usher's halftime performance. Come on, guys.
What think people
I
should
mean, like
do?
half hour after it ends.
Yeah, you know what
Hour. Let them
Did
pay
we
out
do
the
it
money.
after the Super Bowl last year?
Let 'em
I
pay
think
out the
we
we
money.
did.
did. We did.
That was fun. We had a lot of fun going after the Super Bowl last year. I will say that, Evan. We
Here-
really enjoyed it.
Like I will be around that Sunday. Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. You guys should like and subscribe and turn on the notifications, and then you'll know when we go live.
Like Super Bowl will be over. It'll be about our normal time going on anyway.
Could be. But
I mean,
anyway-
if you haven't had your fix of Super Bowl stuff, you get your fix. And
Eat all the rest of
when
the
when the
food,
Super
come
Bowl
watch
ends,
And
I
you might
want to
have to
watch.
be our-
I want to talk it.
You might have to be a hardcore to listen to this show this long, but if you are around, like I say, the best way to do that is like and subscribe. So again, we appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys learned something tonight. There's only so much you can do with the single game showdown. So the best thing is just not to overthink it like we already talked about tonight. With that being said, though, I want to thank the guys for joining me. I'm going to get us out of here with this, though, because we did start a bit later tonight. Thank you, guys. It was a good season, and we're not going to be gone for too long because there'll be NBA, there'll be spring football. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Draft
So,
preview, free agency preview.
And lots
Talking
of
about my
off-season,
Patriots, baby.
lots of off-season content.
Yeah,
Welcome back,
we
Monte Hightower.
Bonus, just like nuking.
start out with a 15-minute concept, Evan, and we end up going an hour and a half. So with us, you never know. But with that being said, I am going to get us out of here with this. I'm going to hit the button now. Good night.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace out, everyone.